I think I'm ready now. Excuse me. How's everyone doing? Oof, here. Brush it real quick. Welcome in. Why aren't you vegan? So, if you're sentient and you want that respected, you want to not be exploited and have your autonomy respected, you have a moral obligation to return that respect to all other beings that have similar capacities. So why aren't you vegan? All right. I eat plant-based foods. I eat mushrooms and I eat seaweed. So I'm talking about all sentient beings, which means to have the capacity to experience subjective feelings like pain, joy, suffering. As sentient beings, we share a similar personal interest in continuing to live and have more experiences that we can weigh out and make preferences on. I'm not asking you to go to the store and pick up human flesh. I'm telling you to go and pick up something plant-based, just not the animals. So it's not about between saying animals are more than humans. It's about respecting that we have similarities, and the things that we want respected, they have the same qualifiers. So we should respect the fact that they also experience the world. They also have the capacity to suffer. Yeah. I don't know what the co-host thing is, so maybe private message me about it, because I just don't know what it is. I understand what co-host means, but yeah, I understand that you're consuming someone who ate plants, but does that mean you can eat a vegan human because I eat plants? Does that make me lesser than you? Well, so if you've tried eating a plant-based diet and you don't feel good, it's possible that either you didn't get everything you needed, or maybe you have something you need checked out. So what I usually recommend is go to Challenge 22. You can talk to an actual dietitian, which is someone who's spent 2,000 to 8,000 hours focused on how diet affects your health. And if you want to go vegan, they're there to help you for free. And they'll help you for 22 days. You know, they do email, so it's not really like invasive. Yeah, so that's why veganism is not about reducing suffering. It's a principled stance against exploitation. Again, anybody who has allergies or didn't feel well when they tried a vegan diet that one time, go to Challenge 22 and talk to a registered dietitian. That's who you should be talking to. Doctors maybe get 24 to 48 hours or something like that. They basically know as much as you do. Oh, okay. I do have vegan cat food, yes. Gotten all of them, so she gets a variety of stuff. I mean, it's backwards right now. I can flip the cameras. Okay. So we got Evolution. Oh. Fortified has all their nutrients in it. It's even See, it's got meets the nutritional levels established by the AAFCO for cat and dog food nutrition. They've got other flavors too. The gourmet. And then there's the Nevo. I mean, I don't even have them all actually. We've only tried the ones that I've recently found. And then there's also this new unicorn one. She doesn't like it though, but we gave it a try. So there you go. Vegan pet food. I'm going to jump to the bottom. I sat on that one too long. Website sources for... It's not abuse when I'm feeding them a nutritious diet, and studies so far have shown that the animals that are dogs and cats that are fed on a plant-based diet are either as healthy or a little healthier than the animals that were on their regular carnivorous diet. And again, I recognize that there does need to be more studies, but the fact that they're doing just as well so far is a very good indication that it's okay to feed them these diets. And if it wasn't, then they wouldn't sell these on the shelf. My cat is fine. I wouldn't worry about her. She's great. Only thing she's sad about right now, she wants to go outside. Okay. What's saying that McDonald's is good for you? Oops. Craft foam? Well, don't eat that. No, I'm vegan because I'm against the exploitation of sentient beings. So that means I don't want to demand or even accept from somebody giving it to me that a thing that demanded someone's exploitation. So when animals are forced into this world, they, even though they're sentient, right, they have their own interests. They're going to start weighing out their experiences and making preferences. We make them be what we want them to be. In fact, we've done it all the way down to taking two individuals, forcing them to mate so that they birth a deformed baby that fits our needs. I mean, it's pretty messed up. So even hunting is not good because someone is out in their home doing whatever makes them happy, and you come up behind them pew pew or with a bow, you know, whatever. Still, it's unnecessary. You don't need to use animals. You can live off of plant-based things, mushrooms and seaweed. Yes, I understand deer breed on their own. Not the animals on the farms, though. Those are definitely force bred. Who decides when the cow or the chicken or whenever the animals, who decides when those animals get pregnant? The animal themselves or the farmer? It's the farmer. Who do they get to hook up with? Do they get to freely choose from their group that they grew up in? No. The farmer chooses. No, you pick who you want to be near each other so that you benefit from their union. So you're not making choices in their best interest, which is what's key here. You're making choices that are in your best interest at the expense of someone else and their family. That is what you're doing. What science is vegan against? See, that's what I'm talking about. Xavier, if bulls were allowed to breed with heifers, the bulls would literally kill the heifers. They would. I've heard farmers come up here and tell me this. They say that AI is actually more compassionate for the cow. So what are we doing here, guys? We don't need to allow either to happen, right? hunting is wrong when you're doing it for your entertainment and for your taste pleasure, which is also just another form of sensory entertainment. Obviously, I understand when an individual is in a situation where that's how they have to survive. That's how wild animals survive. They're in a harsh environment and they don't have choices. They don't have grocery stores. You have a grocery store. You can make a choice. So stop using other people to kind of offshore your responsibility. You choose what bull gets to be around the lady. Hey, Sarah. Sorry, I'm kind of behind in the comments. Yes, I get it. The House of Gecko. You live on a farm. You keep repeating it. I got it. I got it. Kaden, you got to be over 18. Are you over 18? Okay. I appreciate you dropping down then. Yes, I understand they naturally go. So the thing is, like, what if I was breeding humans downstairs? They're like not of the same intelligence as us, but they have the same urges, right? And obviously they're going to want to be with each other every once in a while. And I'm going to benefit when the females get pregnant. Is this now moral? Because I'm benefiting from it? I can milk her. I can feed people around me. Yeah, but why would that be illegal? Why do we find that wrong? We find it wrong because they're a sentient being who has the capacity to suffer, has their own internal purpose. Mad. Did you get it out of your system? You know what else? What else is yummy? Humans. They taste like bacon. Do we now have the moral justification to unalive humans just because they've lived a happy life? They're free range. Yeah, human steak is also pretty tasty. Look it up. Look up the term long pig, humans and long pig, and tell me that history. Well, I just told you that human flesh tastes great, so if my taste buds are telling me that that's tasty and that I need more, does that mean that now I'm justified to unalive humans for my taste pleasure? Because they might have some nutrients that my tongue really enjoys. Oh, I didn't see what your question was. What was your question, top five? You gonna stop? Stop what? Oh, again, veganism's not against killing or unaliving, excuse me. We're against exploitation of sentient beings. Okay. Well, I'm sorry if you actually lost your dad. That's terrible. I recently lost my dad. It was hard. No, it doesn't harm animals. And if you're going to go into crop deaths, I will remind you that animals eat more plants than humans. So if you genuinely think that I should be concerned with plant welfare, then I should still be vegan because a vegan world grows fewer plants. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but it really is the truth. We feed so many plants to the animals we use. So and these poor animals, they just want to be free. Instead, they're just being fattened up and eaten and used, enslaved, raped. Of course, there's animal testing. I'm against that. So in the situation of where I don't need a medicine, like I'll live, maybe, I'll be achy or sore or something. But if I don't have access to a vegan medicine for those minor things, then I go without. It's okay. I will live. I'm a tough person. For people that are like, they lose great quality of life, I would say take the medicine, but be vocal. Ask your doctor for alternatives constantly. Is there an alternative yet? Has something else that doesn't require testing on animals come out yet? It's really that simple. I'm not asking people to harm themselves. I would never, ever, ever do that. That's why I do this. I'm speaking up for an individual that's being ignored. Their rights are being violated, right? I'm against rights violations. So you're stuck on the word unaliving again. You need to listen and learn. Otherwise, you're just a robot repeating yourself. Oh, so like for dairy, like we've been talking about, the reason why it's not nice to have the bulls around the heifers all the time is because they will harm the heifers. And so what they do sometimes instead is the farmer puts on a glove all the way up to his shoulder. He puts his arm into the cow's anus, through the lining, holds her cervix in place so that in her vagina squirts a little pipette from semen they JO'd off a cow earlier, which is someone's job. Put it in a pipette and they squirt it in her vagina and they massage it in there. Tell me that isn't grape. Yeah, I'm speaking up for inherent rights of all sentient beings. Exactly. We didn't become vegan because we didn't like flavor. We became vegan because we recognized rights violations and that we didn't want to support it. Oh, that's lame. Some may find uncomfortable and has been restricted, violates community guidelines. Is it because I was talking about grape? I was using the right words, and I've done that before. The cow farmers do that. They go like this and that and this and that. That is a fact. It's reality. Well, slavery was a reality too, right? Like, that's like saying we should have just accepted. It's like saying we should have just accepted slavery, right? Because it was just everywhere and that's just the way the world was. It is your body. I'm literally through a screen. I can't touch you or do anything to you. I don't even know who you are. So, yeah, of course it's your body, your choice. That's why I'm trying to convince you to make better choices that align with your own personal preferences, by the way. I'm pretty sure that you want your autonomy respected because you can experience pain. Like, guys, some people are real idiots. I really don't understand. Like, you're like, rights for me, but not for thee, even though you have nociceptors, which are the same nerve endings that tell you that you're experiencing serious pain. They have the same ones. But no, no, no. And it's hilarious that you're saying, my body, my choice. What about their body, their choice? You're literally saying your body, my choice when you're using animals. So that kind of backfired on you. I think the best choices have septum rings, so you can just enjoy that. Force my kids. I would raise my kids vegan, yes. And I wouldn't allow animal products in my house. Obviously, they would be an independent person at some point, and I can't control them. That's part of being a parent. But I would hope that I instilled the same principles. I would hope that they recognize the same things that I did, and they can come to their own conclusion. But I imagine it would be the same because it's logical. I've yet to hear any great excuse that really morally justifies violating someone's bodily autonomy for your sensory pleasure. I've yet to hear the moral justification for that. So it's different when it's in their best interest. So again, when you take a kid to the dentist and they don't want to, right? Because it's scary and kind of might hurt. You're still going to take them to the dentist to help them get their teeth clean because you don't want them to have more pain. You don't want them to be sick. You want them to be healthy. So it's one thing when you're doing something in their best interest. It's another when you're doing it in your best interest and using them. No one can force anyone. It's hilarious that you guys came into my live and I'm forcing you. You guys have a diluted version of reality for sure. Yes, plants are alive. I never said they weren't. I said they're not sentient. They don't have subjective feelings. They just respond to things. They're literally just a bunch of chemicals and bumping into each other and responding to each other. That's all they are. And the patterns that they have developed are just happenstance. They just happen to be able to survive their environment. The things they do were mutations that just developed as like, oh, this individual survived longer to reproduce and that gene was passed down. It's really that basic, and it was a long time. Hold on a second. I realized I hadn't looked at something. Okay. Sorry, something on my computer. You also don't read the comments with good points. Okay, Isaac. Well, that's what the request is for. Alice, are you over 18?
The giant horse conch weighs over 11 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Hey, are you over 18?
Yep. So, you don't support ranchers or farmers?
I support farmers that grow plant-based stuff.
Yeah, no. Who runs the economy?
What?
Ranchers run an economy?
Okay, so did slavers.
Yeah? That wasn't a
Yeah?
problem until people stood up for it. So, what's the difference?
What do you think I'm doing right now?
Standing up to not have people eat protein?
So
Yeah.
why do you think someone who's vegan?
That was so good.
Fucking children. Okay. Why would someone who doesn't want to use animals be talking to people about not eating animals? Why would I do that? Why would I want to force this on you? Rights violations. God, idiots. I really don't care for people that come up here with the cocky attitude and then you know nothing. Like you're a complete mush brain. And you think you have a right over animals. Animals are smarter than you. I have news for you. They're really smart and definitely smarter than you. Yeah, I live in America. I live among a lot of these unintelligent mush brains. How long we've been going? This was honestly kind of a test for the time. It seems that this is rife with idiots. Do you know what inherent means, Michael? Inherent means you're born with it. So if you're sentient, meaning you're experiencing the world, you have the capacity to experience subjective feelings like pain, joy. You have an inherent right then, because you have a you. There's an individual experience, a subjective experience is happening. And anything that happens to that individual matters to that individual, because that's their whole world. That's true. Moral cowardice. That is actually a really good word. Definitely cowardice, underline. It does mean that they have inherent rights that are being violated. That's what that means. Because what you're saying is that legality is the only way to have rights, so therefore slaves weren't experiencing rights violations. Do you see how that doesn't make sense? If I were to be enslaved, I would absolutely be livid. Don't take my rights away from me. Don't violate me against my will when it's not in my best interest. Like, if I don't want it done to me, why would I ever have the right to do it to somebody else? If not, only in self-defense would I say that these would be okay. But even when in self-defense, I don't think I'm going to eat the one that attacked me. I'm saying I'm against exploiting sentient beings. And I'm talking about inherent rights that you're born with despite the current environment of legality. Exactly. Animals are innocent. It's funny, whenever you talk about people that you would subject to this, everyone jumps to the worst person they could. Some kind of crazy person that has killed a lot of people. It's like, subject that person to what animals go through. It's what did the animals do? We know they feel the same pain. Why would we put someone through this with the mentality of like a 2 or 3-year-old? Yes, humans also make great bacon. So why not farm humans? It doesn't matter if they produce pollution. So let's say we go back to the slavery example. If I was an abolitionist speaking out against the slavery of humans, right? Oh, sorry. I would try to make sure, I wouldn't argue about the environmental footprint of slavery. I'd be arguing about the individual that's being enslaved. I feel like it's almost an insult to be like, we shouldn't have slavery because farmers make them poop in one spot and that's toxic to the neighborhood or something like that. Like, how insulting to the individuals who are having their rights violated. Like, you should care about them. They're an individual to the same capacities as you, or similar, at least the capacity to experience the world and experience pain. It doesn't matter intelligence, capabilities, ability to give back to society, even the ability to reflect back moralism. Some people are not even there, but they're still sentient, right? They're not as cognitive, or maybe sapient is the word I should use here. They're not as sapient as the rest of us. Still sentient, still have inherent rights to their autonomy. Challenge 22 is a great free resource with no strings attached, and all they do is help you go vegan. They give you, there's dietitians, registered dietitians, that give free advice based off of your needs and in the area that you're in. The government says they don't. I mean, my cover art is AI, yes. My boyfriend's a programmer, so he already has an account where he uses it. So I just utilize the tool because it's there. I also think it's important to have those visualizations because it takes some of the arguments and it like shows the hilariousness of them or the silliness of them or the ridiculousness of the arguments, because people are arguing for rights violations. And when you see that in another context, it's like, that looks ridiculous. It's like, well, that's what you're supporting. Nuclear power, huh? Tons of nuclear power. I don't know about that. It does use a lot of electricity. They do run on servers, so they get hot, so they use water or other things to cool it down, and that requires energy. I do understand that, yes. But animal ag uses Far more. Far more. Go look up how much water is dedicated to animal agriculture. It's about 20 to 30% of our fresh water use. Look up how much land is dedicated to animal ag. 83%. We dedicate a lot to animal ag. So if you're worried about the environment but you're using animals, you are the hypocrite. You can get vaccines. I think that vaccines are fine to get. We can advocate to our government that we don't want them tested on animals. We don't need to, in fact. And it's a waste of money. Did you know that it's 98% of animal studies with medicines fail in human trials? 98! 98! That is a horrible percentage. All failure, failure, failure. 100% for cancer. It's a useless scientific practice. It's something they don't want to let go of because they're worried. They're unsure. But we're getting these computer models that are proving to be more reliable, cheaper, more efficient, easier to control the environment. Why would you ever want to shove cleaner down dogs' throats? Why would you ever think that's okay? Until they puke up blood and possibly unalive. That is something that we do. If I know that cleaner was tested on animals, I am not buying it. I will use vinegar. I'll use something else. Something that has the insignia on it for not being tested on animals. There's an app that you can use to scan products so that you can know if it was tested on animals.
All right.
Coop, are you over 18?
Yep. 22, 2003. 22, 2000. Yeah, okay. So basically, I like meat.
All right. It's just taste pleasure then?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried vegan food?
I mean, like broccoli? Or you mean yeah.
Like apples?
Yeah.
French fries? Okay. So vegan,
Good.
The word vegan, all it means is that you're not supporting exploitation.
Okay.
Yeah. So all animal products demand exploitation. Animal flesh is stealing someone's muscle from their body. Secretions like milk and eggs are from literal SA of the animals. And then we take what comes out afterwards.
Depends. I wouldn't.
On what?
Depends where you're getting your products from. If you're getting from a normal farmer, he's not doing that stuff to him.
So do you know, let's talk about dairy for a second. Tell me, why does a cow produce milk?
Because it's a cow, I don't know. Makes milk?
She's a mammal.
Oh,
yeah. Humans are mammals, so when do human women produce milk?
When they're older, or after they have kids.
There you go. Exactly. It's after we have kids.
Yeah.
So a dairy cow's the same way. She only produces milk after she's given birth to a baby. So how does she get pregnant?
Another cow got her pregnant and she had a kid.
Do you think she chose to get pregnant, and with whom? Or do you think the farmer chose all of that?
It depends.
Would you like your parents to decide when and who you get to sleep with?
Maybe they choose something really good. No, I'm kidding.
What if it's not? And I want to remind you too that your union, the only reason why they get to pick and choose who you get to be with is because they want to exploit your baby. Would you like that?
Not just
Does that feel like a moral thing to go through?
It's not even all that.
Right.
deep.
So cows are sentient. You know what sentient means?
Nope.
It just means that you're experiencing the world. You're able to have subjective feelings, like you can feel pain.
Yeah.
You can feel fear. You can feel joy. Okay. So the cows that you are claiming that taste so good, they're sentient. just like you. They have the same capacity to
Yeah, but
experience the world, or their own subjective experience, I should
okay.
say, but they have the same capacity to suffer. Do you know what nociceptors are?
When you don't have any you can't like feel pain. I'm guessing. Which
No,
which plants? Yeah, I
no.
know where you're going.
So nociceptors are a nerve ending that we have in our skin that tell us when we're feeling extremely bad pain. The animals like cows, pigs, chickens, fish, all these animals, they have the same nerve ending.
Yeah,
We've
but they
watched the
taste good.
signals go to their brain. They feel the same pain. So knowing that someone is experiencing excruciating pain,
Oh,
knowing that
animals are
hold on,
not someone.
they're a subjective individual experiencing the world. They are sentient. That's a someone. They have preferences. They're unique. Have you ever been around like two dogs or two cats?
Yeah.
They're never the same. They're not automatons. They have personalities, right? They have preferences. Usually one is like really hyper and the other one's more chill, or they
not
have
eating dogs
different favorite toys. Cows are the same way. They're actually just as intelligent as dogs.
Yeah, but
they like to play with balls.
Yeah, but cows like taste good.
Okay, but humans taste like bacon. They call us long pig. So now are you justified to go unalive? Look up the term long pig and human and tell me what you find.
You eat a human, you tell me how it tastes, all right? Have you tried it?
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
I'm telling you, we have evidence from anecdotes. Okay. You have a nice day. I would rather talk to people that are serious.
Kick me because I'm right.
I'm going to kick you because you're stupid. Sorry, I shouldn't call you stupid. I get frustrated when people are standing in the way of someone's rights. So I apologize, but you are standing in the way of someone's rights. All right, Sigma. Or not Sigma, excuse me. Are you over 18?
Hello?
Are you over
I
18?
am.
Okay.
I am.
So why aren't you vegan?
Okay, because I like to taste the meat.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that I keep going.
Oh, I was going to tell you what I was just saying to the last gentleman, and that is that we're called long pig. Are you now morally justified to go unalive humans because they taste like bacon?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm glad we agree that taste pleasure doesn't justify unaliving someone.
Okay.
So, what's stopping you from not using animals?
Basically, so I go to the gym a lot and I need my protein, and I know you can get protein from different types of vegetables. But it's more of a tastier source for me to eat.
Sure. There's plenty of tasty protein-dense sources. There's tofu, there's tempeh, there's vegan meat stuff that's made out of pea proteins.
Sorry, you're lagging.
Bean burgers. Oh, darn. Yeah, it's my phone. It lost its SIM card. I have connection to internet, but it's gonna come and go.
You're lagging.
Oh,
a lot.
You've lost signal.
Hello?
Oh. Well, I'll start over.
No, I'm here. Sorry, I was lagging.
Okay, it does say you're low on signal, but if it is me, I'll start over. Okay, it's not lagging for you. Okay.
No, it was me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure. My phone did have an issue. I had an update, and the SIM card for some reason is not recognized. So I'm on Wi-Fi on the phone. I was worried that the connection might do that. So do tell me if that does happen, chat. Anyway, I forgot where we were. We were talking about taste pleasure. We agreed, though, that you shouldn't unalive a human if they taste like bacon, which I'm glad we agree on. So I guess, can I do anything to animals?
Can I just say one thing?
Sure, as long as you answer my question.
Do you want me to answer first, or?
Yeah, go ahead and answer my question first, and then we'll move on. Can I do anything I want to animals?
Anything. Like, what do you mean with anything?
Whatever I want. Let's say I got a dog and I want to kick him for exercise. It's fun, convenient, and I get exercise.
Absolutely not.
Okay. I agree. But can you tell me why?
I don't know that any farmers kick a cow just because.
All right, I'm not talking about the farmers. I'm just giving you a scenario. Why is it wrong for me to kick the dog for my exercise and benefit?
Um,
I agree with you, just to
well,
be
because
clear. I just want to understand why.
um, because number one, it hurts the dog. It makes your dog afraid of you, and you shouldn't be an owner of a dog then.
All right, you point out great things. They have the capacity to suffer. They're going to remember it, so they're going to suffer even in the future, right? They're going to have a fear of you. They have a subjective experience. And it would be wrong for me to harm them knowing that they have the capacity to suffer and that they're experiencing the world when I don't need to do that to them. I can kick something else, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just here telling you, you don't need to use animals, even for your protein for going to the gym. I strongly suggest going to Challenge 22. But if you don't want to reach out to somebody, because I know that takes, like mental energy to do an email with some people, and I get it, it's fine. Nutritionfacts.org has really nice videos. They also list their resources so you can read the studies yourself if you want to dive into them. But they have videos that break them down, break down
Okay.
what's a healthy diet and why. And then there's also the bottom ones are more just like if you want a meal plan, you can ask ChatGPT to make a meal plan for you that has so much protein in or whatever you want to add
Yeah,
to it. And then double check it by
absolutely.
throwing it into Cronometer and it tells you the macro and micronutrients of it so you can double check it.
Absolutely. And I'm not gonna come up here and say you're a fucking dickhead because you're a vegan. No, because you ain't. Because you wait, what? What? Are you kicking me?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, you literally just said it, so. I was so nice too. I literally just gave you all those resources and you came up here to just be harmful. That's sad. I feel sorry for you, really. Yeah, I might only go another 15 minutes, guys. This has so far been kind of a flop. I feel like I haven't had a single decent conversation. I hope there's maybe some wallflowers though, because yeah, exactly. Thank you to all the vegan activists. I see there's vegans in the chat. Thank you for being here. And I see that you're also active in there, guys. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I should be able to, well, maybe I can't. I don't know. I don't have things hooked up, so never mind. Rambling now. I don't eat avocados, but I wouldn't shame vegans for eating avocados. Animal products take up way more resources, so. And the bees that pollinate them, we don't demand bees do that. Only people who demand honey are demanding those honeybees be more bred to be used as pollinators, which wipe out the natural pollinators, which make us more reliant on the bees that we're farming. Ah, such a vicious cycle we're putting ourselves in. Avocados are weird. I hate that they're like that perfect timing. That's why I don't like them, is because if you don't get them in that right time, it's just not worth it. And it's like, I just don't care to play that game with fruit. I respect that you're willing to look into your life to make changes. Maybe look up the zebra fish study, because they did a study where they took like a handful of fish, just normal fish, little zebra fish, put them in. There's two tanks that they were able to choose between. They went into the one tank that has all these recreational toys. The other tank was just a barren tank. The fish kind of checked out the barren tank, the barren tank, and then they went over to the recreational tank. The second time they did the test, some fish were given something that gave them pain, and they put in the barren tank the medicine that would relieve it, the pain reliever, and the side that had the toys didn't have the pain reliever. And they found the fish that were given the stuff that made them feel pain, they went into the barren tank to relieve the pain. And they didn't go to the one with all the toys because they would feel their pain. So I respect that you're willing to look into possibly going pescatarian, but just understand fish are sentient. They also still feel pain. They want to live just as much as you, even though they don't think like you. And I know they look totally alien. They have friends. They have hierarchies. They have memories. They do make preferences. Exactly. Like they do things that they survive environments that other individuals can't survive. That's impressive. Well, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you. No, fish feel their own pain. Bees are also sentient. You are absolutely correct. That's why I don't use honey. Honey is not vegan. We're literally stealing their food and giving them either a little bit of their own food, because we have bred them to overproduce, or we're giving them a watery substitute. And either way, you're subjecting someone to slavery. They spend their whole lives going out to these little flowers, coming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, whole life to make a 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. And we just like waste it, you know, like you just all over. And that's their winter food. That's why it's so nutritious. It's nutritious for them and their babies. I haven't blocked anybody, and I don't. Can I do anything to you? Oh, nice. There. I like your kind. If you care about the environment, you should be vegan. If you care about the environment, you should be vegan. 83% of our agricultural land is taken up by animal ag. If we got rid of animal ag, I'm pretty sure it's like 75% of our greenhouse gases would go away. At least from the ag industry. We use so much fertilizer even just to grow their food. And that is off-gassing. I mean, if someone blocked her, I've made sure who my mods are, and I trust what they do. But if there are mods in here and they kick someone, just tell me who it was. You don't need to tell me in the chat. You can tell me privately somewhere else. But yeah, I trust their decisions. That's what I thought. I don't think so. Yeah, hens actually, it doesn't matter where you get them from. They have been subjected to, their parents were SA'd. There were two individuals forced together to make a mutated baby that fit your needs. Their original ancestor, the red jungle fowl, only laid 13 eggs a year during only part of the year. And often they weren't unfertilized. They were fertilized because they knew the time of season and they were trying to have, their offspring. It wasn't advantageous to have unfertilized eggs. That's a waste of energy. That's why if they did have them, they usually will eat them. Again, the bees that we use to pollinate these other plants are from the honey industry. And they're often there to replace the native pollinators. So you're wiping out native pollinators for your honeybees. If we didn't have the honeybee industry, we would have natural pollinators everywhere. But we've done detriment, and so now we're reliant on this thing that has caused the initial problem. And the bees themselves are sentient, so we're basically saying we need to overproduce this enslaved being, which is not in concern of being wiped out, by the way. When we say, the bees are dying out, it's not the honeybees of like the honey industry, not those bees. Those bees are fine. It's the ones that they are wiping out, which are not just bees, they're also butterflies and other insects. The honeybees that we breed are so efficient at collecting the pollen, they're literally wiping out the food within their vicinity. That's right, vegans are always eating bees. I get my bee steak, medium buzzed. That was a terrible joke. I'm yapping about bees. They're sentient beings and you shouldn't use them. Why are you vegan? What justifies you violating someone's autonomy for your sensory pleasure? I don't eat trees, man. I eat plants. Come on, keep up. I recently had a Beyond Burger. I haven't had them for quite a long time because I don't know, I've been trying to eat more whole food. It's healthier and I feel better. But I had one because the sun was out and it just felt like nice to have a little Beyond Burger, and it was really good. I felt very full. I actually don't have dogs, so it doesn't matter. But dogs are actually omnivorous. So they actually can do well. And we have studies that show they do just as well on plant-based diets that are obviously properly give their proper nutrition. Nobody needs a specific food, even animals. Nobody needs a specific food. They need specific nutrients. I don't eat gruel. I love flavor. I've been on a spaghetti kick though lately. It's, I don't know, pasta I just love. We have like a brown rice and I think a lentil pasta that we use. And it's so good, especially with garlic, onion. Yeah, good stuff. Sometimes we'll put in, I love tempeh right now. Oh, especially if you soak it in a little soy sauce if you want a little extra kick to it. Maybe a tiny bit of liquid smoke. Although I don't usually use liquid smoke. I don't know how I feel about that, but it does add like that, I don't know, it kind of gives it that bacon flavor-ish. So it's not about flavor. You can find flavor. Flavor usually comes from plants. Like we take animal flesh, which is usually really bland, and we have to cook it and season it. And if you don't season it, it's usually really boring and not that great. It's like, it's whatever. You know, you have to add plants to it. Because animals are sentient beings that don't want to be used, and you don't need to use them. And I'm saying that they're being enslaved unnecessarily, and that just like you, they have inherent rights. They were born with the capability to suffer and feel joy. They're experiencing the world and weighing out their experiences and making preferences, just like you. And just because they may not be as sapient as you, doesn't mean that they deserve to be exploited. Doesn't mean you have the right to force yourself on them or to violate their bodily autonomy for your sensory pleasure, which is what you're doing. Because you can get everything from plants. I have all these resources for you. Okay, but if you don't eat plants ever, you know, you're going to potentially be sick. But the point is that there's a victim. You took someone's life for what? Yeah, someone's life. Why do we care about humans that are not as cognizant as us? Like humans that maybe can't operate things, they can't hold a job, they can't even reciprocate morality in the sense that they know what's right and wrong. They can follow maybe commands or of some sort, but they're still experiencing their life and still making preferences, still avoiding harm, right? Like it would still be wrong to exploit that human. Why? Because that human is sentient. They're a subject experiencing the world. The animals are the same. It doesn't matter their intelligence. They're experiencing the world. And you don't need to harm them. So why invade their everything? You know, if someone came after you, that would matter to you. You don't want your bodily autonomy violated. What happens to you matters to you. What happens to them matters to them. Even if you don't qualify that as like that great of a life, that's everything to them. I see someone has requested. I'll bring you up, but I think you're going to be my last one. Okay. Well, I do appreciate y'all being here. I don't know. I didn't really advertise it either, so I'm wondering if like maybe that's why I didn't get a lot of people. They never read the study. Sometimes I worry when I say a study that they're just tuning out, right? They're not writing it down or something. And then it's like, well, if you're not going to believe me or you're not going to like double check or, you know, leave, come back, you're not genuinely curious then. You're just here to debate me, which I'm not really a debater, as I'm sure most of you can tell. I try to be, I don't try to debate. I just try to be clear on what my stance is and what I'm standing up for. I'll talk to debate bros, but they'll try to do little maneuvers on me that I'm not familiar with. And sometimes I fall into their traps, but it's like, it doesn't matter. You're justifying someone's rights violations. That's the bottom line. And that's not okay. Okay, so let's say that plants are sentient. You feed more plants to animals. So if we care about someone's welfare, shouldn't we not demand them to be subjected to suffering? We shouldn't be growing so many sentient plants to feed, that we have to harvest then, right? And then feed to the animals that we then also want to unalive and use. So you're just compounding the harm. Yeah, you have a medical condition. I'm not a dietitian. I just know that you don't need to use animals. So I'm just here to tell you, go to these resources. Whoop. Challenge 22, talk to a dietitian. 2,000 to 8,000 hours focused on how diet affects your health. NutritionFacts.org, you can read the studies yourself or watch videos about them. They break it down really well. They have the Dailey Dozen, which is actually my favorite. It's an easy little checklist to make sure you get everything you need. ChatGPT and Cronometer, just basically asking Chat to make a meal plan for you and double checking it in Cronometer because Chat makes mistakes. Because animals are sentient and they can suffer. They feel the pain. They have a want to continue. They look forward to things, they are aware. So I don't want to take someone's experience away from them just so I can put their muscle on my tongue and get sensory pleasure from that, right? Doesn't that sound gross and creepy? And people that go on about iron, so you want to use someone else's blood? Gross. I understand if you're in an extreme situation, of course, take care of yourself, but that wouldn't be my first go-to. Yeah, soy milk is great. We can absolutely go vegan. So the thing is, we just need more demand. We're only 1 to 3%. And veganism is not about, it's part of it is wanting the world to be better, but it's not about activism. Veganism is a personal principle. You're being principled against demanding exploitation. You recognize that someone is being enslaved for you, and you don't want to demand that anymore. Someone is being used without consent and without their best interest in mind. And I don't want to support that anymore. And as we collectively grow, that has an effect on the supply and demand system. So people that do have issues or situations where they're having obstacles that they can't avoid, but they do want to stop using animals, they're going to always look for their alternatives. They're going to be vocal about it with whoever they are having monitor their health or whoever they're talking to about getting this medicine. They'll be like, is there an alternative yet? Is there something else I can try? Being open so that you're not demanding that, it gets tested on animals. I don't know about you. I'm not okay with it. I don't like that animals are tested on, but if I'm going to die, I'm going to take the medicine. If it's something like I have a headache and it's, not a chronic issue, but I have a headache or a scuff or something like that, and I don't have the vegan version of my medicines, I just don't take it. Right? I just don't take it because I'm okay with feeling a little bit of discomfort because I didn't demand someone, have that medicine shoved down their throat. But if it's life-saving, I say take the medicine, fight for justice. I already talked about bees, you just weren't here. Exactly. Animals can't consent, so lack of consent doesn't equal consent. Yeah, I know, exactly. You're absolutely right. The bestiality argument is hard to go against because especially for dairy, when you're talking about what they're doing, it's so let's say in their mind they're enjoying it. Is it now wrong? Oh, yes, that's terrible. It's well, then how are you ever going to know that that's not the case? That's their job. They have to enjoy their job. Ugh. I don't know what you're talking about. How am I projecting? Okay, what about these animals? Polar bear liver? Are you eating these animals? Or are you talking about who's the top of the food chain? No, because you are a moral agent. You can weigh out what's right and wrong. So knowing that you don't need to use an animal and choosing to still go out and sit in the woods and shoot someone in their home, or pew pew someone in their home, that's still immoral. All right. Well, I don't know. Kind of dropped off. Hasn't been that great. I do see someone requesting. I don't know. Thank you. I was like 18 only. Thank you. 18 older only. Thank you. You can feed the world on a vegan diet. We use 75% less ag land. We can feed 10 billion people. Right now, we are 8 billion people, and we have starving children so that you can use animals. We're using that much of our agricultural land to feed you. 83% of our ag land. We could feed more people on less land if you weren't so greedy. Stop using animals. Natural disasters. I mean, if plants were wiped out and you're so focused on using animals, the animals aren't going to last very long either. They eat plants. I'd say the plants are the main thing you don't want to go out. Even using animals. They eat so many plants. What do you think the animals you use eat? Just air? You should look at the trophic pyramid too. Like, when we feed these animals that you're using, we're only getting like 10% of that energy that we put into them. So we're losing 90% of the energy from food, water, all waste, all gone. You can just eat the plants directly, get 100%. 90 lost, 100% gained. You want to eat only 10%? 100%. That's terrible. You're a bad person. All right, see you later. You know, it's funny, these cows that do escape farms, that are surviving in the woods, which you would think would be the ultimate regeneration, right? Cow living in the forest, within the ecosystem, right? Guess what? There are cows doing this, and they are killing them, unaliving them, because they're a detriment to the environment. So why are we reproducing them? Yeah, you think I'm loud? Listen to a slaughterhouse. You know, it's funny too, they usually build it so that you can't hear it. Like, they fence it off so you can't hear it. They're screaming though. Animals are not moral agents like you and me. They're moral patients, which means they don't fully understand morality. They might have some idea of it, but they don't fully understand it. And we don't hold them to the same standards as us. We may try to communicate why something is wrong, but sometimes it doesn't always sink in, right? Animals that are surviving out in the wild are not necessarily thinking what's right and wrong. They're thinking what's going to get me to the next day. So they're surviving a harsh environment. They don't have the time and probably not the full capacity to weigh out what's right and wrong. But we do see animals that are not in fight or flight mode. They do make moral decisions. We do see they have some idea of morality. But regardless, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. Regardless. Like, animals are incredibly intelligent, and we dumb them down because it makes us feel better as human supremacists. It makes it easier to dominate someone when you dumb them down. Yeah, it's a random life. I didn't really advertise it. I was thinking about doing it like every Tuesday and Thursday at this time. And like, yeah. But it's a test. Yeah, thank you. It's great to see you. I'm really glad to see you out here. I'm actually glad to see all the vegans that are here. Like, really, it's great. I'm glad that we are fighting the good fight. The animals really need us. And I really worry that sometimes we can all get lost in the weeds of other problems. And it's great that we take care of ourselves because we definitely need to take care of ourselves. Haley. But the animals need us more, right? Like, take breaks, take care of yourself, but don't lose sight of the mission, right? Don't lose sight of their loss, because it's good that we get comfortable, so don't feel bad for getting comfortable, but you need to also not get locked in comfort. Got to keep putting yourself out there. It's hard. I actually had a hard time coming up here today, but I did because I want to start something new. I want to be more active and use my energy for good. Otherwise, it's just spinning around. They do. Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. Let's see. There's someone here. Are you over 18? Like, I'm only going to talk to you if you're over 18.
Hello?
Are you over 18?
Yes.
Okay, great. So why aren't you vegan?
Are you familiar with the work of Monica Gagliano?
No.
She's a pioneering researcher in plant cognition, and her work challenges the anthropocentric assumption about intelligence, learning, and sentience. And she's demonstrated that. I'm sorry?
Oh, I was just making a sound that I was hearing you. I said, okay.
Oh, yeah. So her research has demonstrated that plants exhibit complex behaviors traditionally associated with cognition, such as learning, memory, and even communication. So her studies basically are providing a challenge to the vegan ethical framework, which obviously relies on the assumption that plants are non-sentient life forms and lack morally relevant experiences. However, if we've been able to demonstrate that plants are capable of learning, responding to stimuli, and even remembering, then the ethical distinction between consuming animals versus consuming plants, I think, becomes philosophically untenable.
Okay. So, what do the animals you use, what do they eat?
Typically, plants.
Do they eat more plants than us?
Yes.
Okay. So, what are you arguing for?
I'm arguing that your philosophy creates an arbitrary moral distinction.
You're telling me that me saying don't kick puppies because they feel pain is the same as saying don't kick flowers? Are you a
Well,
grown adult telling me this?
I mean, if we can demonstrate that flowers feel pain, then
Yeah. So then wouldn't we still go vegan so that we don't grow so many plants to feed animals?
so you're just looking to reduce harm to
So I
a
don't agree that plants are sentient because they don't have a brain or central nervous system. I understand you quoted someone. I will refer you back to Debunking a Myth, Plant Consciousness. It goes over the last 50 years about plants, and they talk about the studies that look into plant sentience that say there might be something of sentience there have not been repeated. And that their mechanisms that they talk about are explained by chemical reactions, just things bouncing into each other and reacting. These patterns just happen to keep going. So they're alive, but they're not sentient. Sentient means to experience subjective feelings like pain, suffering, joy. Right. It doesn't matter about pain. It's about having a subjective experience.
right. I mean, we could delve further into that, but from a philosophical point of view, I'd say that moral duties, like this concept that we owe a moral duty to animals, I think moral duties should be
I'll put it this
reciprocal.
way. I can put it in a more clear way. Do you think that an adult, like a fully cognizant adult like you and me, has a moral obligation to at minimum not exploit children?
Yes.
Right. Why?
Well, for a wide variety of reasons.
Is it
I mean,
because they're having their own experience? They can't really consent to things because they don't really understand.
uh,
But they're still having an experience. It would be wrong for me to force something on them for my best interest, not theirs.
yeah, that's the primary reason. But I
Right.
think,
You care about their experience. That's what I'm telling you. Animals are also having a subjective experience. They
right,
also
but,
have the same capacity to suffer.
right, but you're missing the crucial element of reciprocity, and I think reciprocity is important. So if you care about a child, that child in turn will care about you.
No, there
Yeah,
are plenty of humans that cannot reciprocate morality. They're just sentient. I've seen plenty of humans that have caretakers that just take them out to go do things, but they themselves will never give back to society. They will always need someone to take care of them. But they're still a sentient being. They still have the same inherent rights to not be violated, even though they can't advocate for themselves.
yeah. Well, I mean, you're talking about an anomaly and an outlier, but
Right.
generally,
But why do we do that for those anomalies, right? Why do we do that? Because we know if we were in that situation, we would want to be respected. Let's say, I hope it never happens, but let's say you're going about your day and something bumps your head and now you are the same cognition as a cow. You can still move around and play with things, but you don't fully understand structures, morality, whatever. You can never give back to society, but you're still, maybe the mental capacity of like a 4-year-old. Is it now moral for me to exploit you?
uh, I personally wouldn't want to exist in that state.
Well, so that's great that you feel that way. You would need to give consent that you no longer want to be that way. Other individuals would want to continue living. Most sentient beings share that common trait to want to have more experiences, to weigh them out and make preferences on them. And if
Right. I
someone
mean,
is feeling like they want to be unalive, they often need care.
right. So, getting back to your example of the disabled person who needs a carer, I think the distinction there is that presumably the carer is typically either a family member or someone who's been appointed by a family member. So that
Okay.
person's got somebody who cares about them.
Okay, are you talking about the animals that we farm, though? We've literally handicapped them. We took animals from the wild that were surviving all on their own in their own ecosystems, doing just fine. Took them out of that, made them mate with another individual that they would not normally on their own mate with, so that they made a specific deformed baby for us. And we kept doing that until they fit our profile. Domestication means that they are now reliant on us for our care. So it is our fault that they are the way they are. That means it's our responsibility to take care of them, not breed them anymore. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Well, no, not really, because the distinction between the animal and the person with the carer is that nobody really cares about I mean, except of course
So
for you
why
guys.
breed them into existence?
Well, to eat them.
To use someone. Exactly. You're literally using someone and saying because they are not within my familiar circle, it's okay to harm them. It's no different than heterosexism or sexism, racism, any of the isms. It doesn't matter. You're picking arbitrary traits. You're saying species, or they just don't think like I do, or they look different, right? Or they are vulnerable to me, therefore it's okay that I dominate them. This is what you're arguing.
Yeah, I mean, we are the apex predator, and it is the
So then
natural.
what? Don't talk to me about natural over TikTok. This is not natural. Anything made by man is not natural. We left nature because it's not fair and it's harsh. It's comfy in our homes and our technology, and that's great. We found technology. That's why we left nature.
So
We live longer and healthier, high quality lives.
so you think that the way we live is not natural?
No.
So where do you? So because we used our cognitive ability to construct a society like this,
Yeah, we
I
made
mean,
unnatural things. That's fine. It's not a bad thing. Yes, we've overdone it, and that's another topic. I don't deny that we've definitely caused some issues in the world with our building. But animal ag is probably the biggest thing that we've built that's the most destructive and the easiest to fix, which is to eliminate it.
Right. So beavers will gather logs to build a dam, for instance. So animals are always using their cognitive ability to use the resources around them to their
Yeah.
benefit, right? So
Okay.
in that same sense, we've used our cognitive ability. So I disregard this claim that the way we live is not natural, because it is natural. We've used our natural cognitive ability to
So
use the
you're literally taking a word and making it mean everything. So natural has literally lost its meaning. You're saying this is natural. You're saying this is natural. You're saying computers are natural. My coffee in a cup, that's natural. Popcorn, natural. Cans, natural. Like what is now what is natural to you? Everything? Then yes, it's natural. What is your argument then? Me being vegan is natural. Like what is your argument?
My argument is the fact that we used our superior cognitive ability
Why
to,
does this give you the right to violate someone?
because I'm able to.
Do you believe in human rights? Please say yes.
Yeah.
Okay, why do we believe in human rights?
I suppose the best reason would be, the golden rule.
I agree. Yeah, if you want your bodily autonomy respected, that you should do that for others, right? But we do have an exception to the rule, which is the moral patients and moral agents. Moral patients don't fully understand morality, like children. Children can do things that are immoral sometimes, but they're not bad people. They just don't understand these constructs yet. They're kind of hitting their boundaries, right? Testing things out. But we don't hold them to the same standard as us. So just because
Right.
animals are doing this doesn't mean we should do it.
Right. Well, children are developing, so they're,
I mean, even children that will never reach adulthood, still immoral to exploit them.
so I think I misunderstood what you were going for with that example.
I think I did too. What was your original point? Maybe I can try answering again.
I can't remember, but
That's okay. Well, what is it right now? We can start over. Let me ask you, what is stopping you from leaving this conversation and no longer purchasing animal products?
I guess, I mean, it's a myriad of reasons, but mostly it's moral ambiguity.
The moral ambiguity. I mean, do you think that the capacity to suffer is reason enough to give someone moral consideration?
Not if it's a lower level life form.
Okay, I'm gonna take a second. I'm gonna mute. I'm gonna let Efren step in and Lori. But you guys, obviously, it's okay to talk over each other, but be mindful of each other. All right, I'm gonna mute for a second.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. I was gonna say that I agree that it is like you can have some sort of sentience threshold, to where like if it's not sentient enough or conscious enough, then you don't care about it. Like for example, bees are the only insects that I care about. I don't care about anything below that. But everything above that, though, like cows certainly cross the threshold because they seem to be able to be more, more if not equally sentient to those people who we protect, like the disabled, like the.
Right. Um, I don't know what to tell you. I guess I just don't care about them.
Yeah, but okay. Well, do you think that plants would reach that threshold, like near a cow?
If you read the work that I cited of Monica Gagliano, I think she presents a compelling argument to show that they do show signs of some degree of cognizance. So I think that gives your position a degree of arbitrariness, in my view. But
Yeah. Wait. Hold up.
That's
Do
what
you
I was
think?
going to say.
Okay. Do you think you answered my question?
Hell no.
I
I
may have.
asked you. Asked you. Do you think that plants reach the level of sentience to the equivalent of that of a cow?
Oh no.
Okay. well, then it's not going to inherently be a contradiction if a vegan places a threshold above plants, but at the level of a cow.
Okay, so who determines that threshold?
I'm a subjectivist. I think I can determine the threshold.
Okay, so and why should I agree with your threshold?
You don't have to, but I think you would be in some sort of you might end up in like a crazy reductio. Um, like for example, saying like it's okay to kill like a I don't know like a mentally disabled Kryptonian or something like that, which most people would find psychotic. Now, some people do bite that bullet, just most people consider it psychotic. And I typically take that when someone is not vegan, they will either end up biting a bullet like that or they'll go vegan.
What's a mentally disabled Kryptonian?
So you can just say like a person who's not human because they're Kryptonian, they're from that planet, and then they have the intellectual capacities of a severely mentally disabled human being.
Would they exhibit any sort of human-like traits or features?
Well, yeah, but you just have to specify which ones you deem important and which ones you deem unimportant, because cows also deem um, some. They have
Well,
some features that humans have.
I mean, just like any other moral topic, I think a lot of this is subjective and comes from our own internal intuition. And I think intuitively, the closer a particular organism is to me on the evolutionary scale, or whatever you want to call it. Like for instance, I wouldn't feel comfortable eating apes because they're too similar to humans. So,
Too similar in
That
what
makes a
regard?
lot of sense.
what?
I mean,
Yeah, also, actually, before you move on to that, um, you are now in agreement that it's not necessarily hypocritical for a vegan to be comfortable with killing plants but not animals.
Not necessarily. I just said that
Okay.
it puts you into a realm of placing arbitrary moral thresholds, which you just admitted are subjective and based on.
Do you, when you say arbitrary, do you mean arbitrary that's different in a way from any moral system, other moral system?
Well, you can't. I mean, are you able to place a definitive sort of point where you say on some place some kind of metric and say an organism, or I don't even know how you'd measure that, based on synaptic responses or whatever, that if it meets this, if it meets this measurable metric, then I won't eat it.
Yeah, you could try to make a rough estimate with some system like that. You could try to.
And how can you just postulate a theory of how you'd go about that?
Sure, we could go with neurons. I mean, all every single time we say that like a being is sentient, we're never exactly going to know. We're making our best guess based on the available evidence. Like I can't see into your brain and like process the experience that you're going through, but we can make inferences based on the fact that we know that everything that appears to be sentient does have a um, brain or a central nervous system, um, and then they might also exhibit um, certain behaviors.
Okay, so I'm still not convinced as to why this should make me consider give moral consideration to a cow.
Well, why? I mean, why don't you give moral consideration to the cow? What's the difference between a human and a cow that allows you to draw a distinction, morally relevant?
Well, it's my own species for one. I
Okay,
mean, which is why I said that, due to the similarity to humans, I wouldn't feel comfortable hurting apes either because of how close they are to us genetically. But
is this like so? Is it morally wrong to harm anybody that is a part of the human species, or is it like a relative thing to where it's fine for things that aren't our species to harm us, and vice versa?
You say that again. I
It,
wasn't following.
I was saying, is it wrong for like other species to harm human beings, or is it like a thing where it's like relative to where if you have like a Kryptonian, then they are allowed to harm humans because they're a different species, and we're allowed to harm them because they're a different species.
Um, well, like you mean like if an alien invasion occurred?
Sure.
Yeah. So I've heard this hypothetical a lot. You know, that what if some superior race attacked us, and obviously that would suck for us. But realistically, uh, my true opinion. Sorry, did somebody say something?
No, I didn't.
No, no, sorry.
Yeah. So obviously that would suck for us, but speaking from an objective moral standpoint, I wouldn't say that even though it sucks for me and sucks for us, that Kryptonian is doing anything wrong because that's simply the natural order of things. They're conquering a lower level race. And if the shoe were on the other foot, we'd probably do the same to them.
Okay. Um. Okay. Well, that might be a reductio. I'm okay.
Well, it's
So
more like what if they had an option to not use us? You know, wouldn't we fight for them to not use us? And even if they had to use us, wouldn't we still fight for our lives because we feel that it's wrong for our rights to be violated?
Sure. And
Okay,
if we're capable enough to fight back
right.
and escape, then good on
Yeah.
us. But if we're
So the
not,
point is, we care about our experience, right? We would defend it. And maybe I'm wrong, Efren, but I feel like you were trying to relate that to the animals also would like to live. They're sentient. We don't need to use them. We would they if they could, they would stop us.
yeah, but I guess I'm unclear on whether he's hmm because I'm. Are you an objectivist? Do you think morals are objective?
um, to some extent, I'd say there is some morals that are objective, but some are subjective.
Okay. Uh. So if we stumbled upon a planet of Kryptonians, do you think it would be fine for us to genocide them and eat their meat?
I mean, if we had a valid reason to, like if we didn't have any food of our own.
Why? I mean, yeah. Well, see, we do have food of our own.
See, sorry, this is the problem with these hypotheticals is you guys posit scenarios which are you're reaching too far to try and prove some kind of point. So
Okay, I'll make it simpler. I'll make it simpler. Can I do whatever I want to animals?
if
Can
you
I
can,
can I can I tie up a dog and kick them for my exercise, entertainment, my benefit? Is that moral in your eyes?
can you articulate a valid justification for doing that?
Yeah, it's convenient and it's entertaining and I get exercise. Otherwise, I wouldn't exercise.
Well, I personally find it morally objectionable if you were to do that.
I agree with you. Why do you think it's wrong? Why do you think it's wrong?
Um, I think in this case it's the element of reciprocity. You're talking about an animal that's typically able to
What if this
reci-
dog is a homeless dog? Not really. They're not mean. They're an innocent dog. They just don't really care to be around humans. So they're not a good companion animal in the sense that they'll reciprocate love to you.
right.
Is it okay that I kick this dog now?
Well, I would question the moral validity of that
I'm
action. Sure.
asking your moral, yeah, in your moral perspective, I tell you this. We're hanging out somewhere and I tell you, you know how what the secret is to getting really healthy? Tying up a homeless dog that doesn't really care to be around people, kicking them for entertainment and exercise. Why is that wrong? What would you tell me?
I don't think you've articulated a good enough reason for it.
I benefit. I get exercise. Otherwise, I wouldn't exercise. Doctor says I gotta do some kind of exercise every day, or I'll perish.
Yeah, but there's other exercise you could do that wouldn't involve kicking.
Exactly. There's alternatives. There's something else I can do, right?
Yeah.
I don't need to cause this poor innocent dog suffering when there's something else I can kick. You don't need to demand cows have their heads taken off. You can eat vegan products. Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
You
but I'm
have
not.
an option.
Yeah, but I'm
And
not
you're
going around.
demanding someone's head taken off.
Right, but I'm not going around kicking
Of
cows.
course. I hope
Right.
you're not kicking cows. Tell me, what is worse? Being kicked in the shin or having your head taken off?
Well,
While you're still alive.
right. So you're going into a
Can you
touchy
answer
area.
my question, please?
Okay, having your head taken
What
off.
is
Yeah.
right? That is worse. I agree. So why are we doing that to animals? You're telling me it's wrong to kick this dog. You're going beyond that.
Right. So my answer to your question is, and you're aware that according to the Geneva Convention,
So you're still not answering my question. Why is it okay for you to take the head off a cow?
I was going to cite a relevant example that illustrates my point, if you let me.
You need to go into it. You can't just tell me in your own moral perspective. You have to talk in debate bro lingo. Why is it wrong for me to kick a dog, but right for you to remove a cow's head when they wanted to live and you can eat something else?
There's a number of okay, without getting into what I was going to say, I will say that I could cite situations and scenarios where ending an organism's life is considered acceptable.
You're
However,
breeding them into existence to take their life. It's not like you came across someone suffering and you took them out of existence. You're literally breeding them with the cruelty in their body that they suffer with. These cows that get too big, these chickens that get too big, that's your fault for demanding more. That's your fault.
That's right.
You shouldn't breed any more into existence just for the excuse of the thing that we did to them. That's disgusting.
I mean, yeah, personally, I think it'd be better if people hunted their own food.
So it's better to
because-
take someone out in their home doing nothing to you, just for your taste pleasure. Again, when you have other options, I'm kicking a free dog. This dog, when I'm done, I let him go. Or maybe I took him out of living out in the wild and then I kicked him, right? Still wrong. Doesn't matter if he has an owner. Doesn't matter. They care about what happens to them. The deer cares what happens to them. Their fawn cares what happens to their parents.
Yeah, so deliberately causing suffering just for the sake of causing suffering.
That's what hunting is.
Wait, hold up. They're not doing it for the sake of for the sake of
Hunting?
suffering. It was exercise.
Yes, that's true. Well, I said entertainment as well. So
Yeah.
It could be that their suffering gives me energy. But, it doesn't matter. Let's say this dog is passed out. And I still cause them this. I kick them. And then when they wake up, they just feel the aftermath. I guess it doesn't even matter about the suffering. The point is you're using someone, really, is what it comes down to. And we handicap them. They rely on our care. To take someone from their home to use when you don't need to is wrong.
Right. I mean, you could present an argument that,
Do you shop at a grocery store? Do you shop at a grocery store?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Okay.
Yeah.
You shop at a grocery store. You have options. I don't really want to go down these rabbit holes anymore. I'm actually probably going to end my life right now. But you have options, okay? You can go to the store. You can pick plant-based. You can pick animal. Animal has a victim. Plants do not. That's what you're choosing between. Exploitation, suffering, oppression, just a plant.
Right.
And
So
even if you care about plant sentience, we feed more of those to the animals.
and what about the combines that unalive the?
Any issue with crops, compounded by using animals. compounded. Animals eat way more plants than we do. 83% of our current ag land is dedicated to raising animals for their flesh, secretions, and their food. That includes their pastures. 83% of their land. And that's including factory farming, which, by the way, shrinks the amount of land necessary to grow those animals. It's actually more environmentally friendly to do factory farming than to have these big farms. The animals that are free to roam around take longer to grow, take more water, take more resources, and they also don't even get as big. So we would feed fewer people with animals than we do with plants. If we got rid of animal ag, we reduce our ag land use by 20 or down to 25%. And we can feed 10 billion people an adequate diet. But right now we're 8 billion and we have starving children in countries where they're dedicating their lands to growing food for animals.
Well,
I know, I
where's
just
the
think there's
logic
a-
in that?
Go ahead,
Sorry,
Lori.
what?
I was just saying, where is the logic in that?
The logic in what?
What she just said to you.
The starving children.
Yeah.
There are countries that are dedicating their lands to growing grains that we feed to our animals, the animals that are used for people that live in the West.
What are you referring to?
There are poorer nations. I don't have them in front of me, but you can look this up. But it doesn't matter, even regardless. Let's say our steel man you and we'll say that animal farming is actually better for the environment. Still doesn't matter. Those animals are sentient, just like the dog that I was kicking. And if I don't need to do it, and especially if I have alternatives, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This is sadistic. What are we doing to animals? We don't need to do this.
I guess analyzing it from a utilitarian point of view, I just think that
Utilitarian takes consent out of the situation. You're ignoring their preferences, but you are at the same time saying your preferences matter more. Why should I respect your preferences?
well,
And also, for the record, vegan arguments apply to utilitarians and deontologists. Like, there's no
I just don't
like
want
the
someone
reductios don't
arguing.
change.
I just don't want someone to argue that because of the pleasure they get from enslaving animals, that outweighs the animal's inherent rights to life. That's the only reason I jump in front of
They weren't going to
that.
make that argument because that's really stupid.
I hope not as well.
that actually was what I was going to say.
Oh my god. Okay. All right. Well then actually, I don't even. Are you a utilitarian first before I even ask that?
I would consider that the taste, pleasure, and enjoyment people get from eating them outweighs and is more relevant than the supposed harm that's done from unaliving them.
Are you clear that people that abuse their dogs for fun aren't getting more pleasure from abusing their dogs than the dog is suffering?
Well, again, I go back to reciprocity in that question. Reciprocity is the key element which you guys leave out when you're using that.
What do you
I didn't leave it out. The dog doesn't need to reciprocate love.
Reciprocity.
He just means that the dog will give back to him, so that's why he values them. That's it.
Right.
Am I correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, say the
Well,
person
all
abuses a
animals
random
do
dog
that.
in the wild. Like, yeah, that changes that scenario. And if I want to, I can remove the dog's legs. I can make the dog disabled too. Then is it fine?
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at something like a dingo, which is technically classified as a dog.
Hold up. Let's say it's a Doberman Pinscher. Okay,
Okay.
is that fine
To do what?
to abuse the dog for fun because of the amount of pleasure that I get?
Well, no, it's not because
Because it's a dog? Because it's a dog, right? Or a cat, right?
I mean, are you planning to eat it?
No. Why would I eat?
That wasn't a reason before.
Oh my
Are
god.
you saying that the difference, like, if I eat the dog after it, are you saying animal abuse is fine?
Well, no. I mean, if you were in a situation where you had no other source of meat, And I mean, I wouldn't say
You're just going in a circle, Master.
I'm master.
You're going in a
Master. Okay.
circle and you're pivoting back and forth. She's
Master.
trying to get a point across to you that we don't need to use other sentient beings for our pleasure, our taste pleasure, or anything else. That's what she's trying to convey to you. And animals of every kind all feel pain. They all feel happiness. They all feel depression. They all feel. I mean, what do you think a female cow does when they come and snatch her baby the minute it's born? What do you think that cow does? That female cow, that mother cow that has no morals and doesn't have a thought process? She screams for her baby for days, looks for her baby for days. And this is where veal comes into it. They take the baby boy cows, they take the female cows right after they're born. The females go right where they're going to be in a pregnancy line for the rest of their life, and the males are killed because we have no use for them. Do you see it? We have no use for them.
There's a
And that's a terrible thing.
I have like two minor points. One, I'm gonna present to communicate the frustration, a demoralized point. If someone like went up to you and they were like, "Okay, I have two shirts for you. You can buy this one or this one," and then you buy one, and they're like, "Okay, well, like, why didn't you get the other shirt?" And they're like, "Well, I didn't get the other shirt because the other shirt's yellow." But like both of the shirts are yellow, like so that you're not naming a difference between the two as to you're not showing why you bought the other one if you just name something that's similar about them. And so when we give you an analogy, like the dogs, and then you like say, well, if I needed to kill the dog, well, that's not the case with animal agriculture. So that in that respect, those things are going to be the exact same. And the second point I want to make is that just something of reflection. Sometimes this happens unconsciously when we're uncomfortable with a hypothetical, is we'll bring up something that isn't exactly the same, like in respect to the things that we're trying to compare. Like we'll bring up, oh, what if I was on a starving island? Or what if it was the only food source that I had? Well, that is probably coming from some type of nervousness or from some type of guilt that you feel from the normal situation that we're presenting you. That's why you feel you have to change the hypothetical or add something that we didn't say.
Right. Exactly.
no. I was just trying to say that under some circumstances, you could potentially articulate a reason.
Oh, actually, a third point. Also, when you change the hypothetical from what we said, it doesn't answer the question because you're answering some different hypothetical and not the hypothetical we presented.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right, but the hypothetical seemed to just rely on basically torturing the animal just for the sake of some sort of sadistic pleasure, right?
Yes, but I also could add the point of
You know what's
exercise or health
sadistic,
benefit,
Master?
so to make it analogous to the food. So it takes out the one you already said by utility. You think you gain more utility from eating a cow than the cow does suffer, and so I mean I feel like it would still apply even if it was for sadistic pleasure. But even if it wasn't just sadistic pleasure, like you got exercise from it, so a health benefit, you still would find it wrong. So now I'm just wondering what the difference is. And
I
I
would
took
just
out
say,
reciprocation because I made the dog have no legs and not be unable to reciprocate.
yeah. So obviously, as I said earlier in the conversation, this is all just based on what feels right or wrong intuitively, and I'd say that
It's not just that. It's not just that. It's about affecting the animals that don't need to be affected. And I can tell you one thing, because I think you said something about animals not having a personality or anything like that. Certain animals. I raised a chicken from a baby egg. Okay, when we could do that back then. And my chicken was my best friend. That thing was smart. It knew its name. It would come and give me hugs. It would let me hug it. So where are you saying this isn't coming from? It's the same with every sentient being. They all feel the same as we do. I've had a bull. I raised a bull when my grandparents had their farm. What did I do with him? Played with him with balls. He grew up, lived his life out, but the thing is that he would bring the ball or throw the ball at me with his face or his foot. Now, what makes them think about that? Why do they do that? Why do they reciprocate that? They're no different from a dog who loves its owner or a cat or a bird or anything else. They're no different. And, you know, it just makes no sense. I know people are afraid of change, and I think that's the biggest culprit here is change. They don't like to be in that environment of change. And that's what's scaring all you people from not going vegan.
I'm not sure I got an answer to the question that I asked. Do you think it's wrong to kick that dog?
Do I think it's wrong to kick the dog?
Assuming the dog is disabled, so it can't reciprocate, you get pleasure from it, more pleasure than the dog does suffer. And what was the last thing? There was some other thing in there, but I'm sure you remember it.
No, I wouldn't think that's right because evaluating the sadistic pleasure you get from simply causing it pain just for the sake of causing it pain, I don't think that's on the same level as the pleasure you get from actually eating it.
Well, I mean, that's fine. You can think that, but I just put it in the hypothetical that you do gain more pleasure from doing it. So that's not going to really be a critique of the hypothetical, because I just edited the hypothetical to where you do gain that much pleasure.
If I may just interject, I think Master is talking about if you're getting the pleasure directly from harming the animal. So we can just amend that to say, okay, I'm not getting the pleasure directly from harming the animal. I just enjoy the sound the animal makes when it is screaming for some reason, right? And by the way, I do not choose what I like, just like you do not choose the fact that you like meat. So in that case, is it okay to harm the animal?
Well, in this case, that would exhibit some alarming signs of sociopathic behavior.
Okay,
that's you for us, Master.
That's you for us. Hypothetical again to just say we know for a fact that this person is not sociopathic.
I'm sorry, you're kind of talking over.
I could just say we know for a fact that this person isn't sociopathic. So, a doctor has clinically confirmed it.
So, how would a person who's not sociopathic get pleasure out of the sound that an animal makes when it's being tortured?
Well, I mean, I don't think that.
I mean, you don't choose what you like, right? You like the taste pleasure. You like the taste pleasure of the dead animal, right? And let's say I killed an animal to make a perfume out of them, and I really like the smell of this perfume. How's it different to what you are doing?
No, I could see you presenting it. In fact, I heard of panther perfume, so I could see that as being morally justifiable.
Oh, you think killing for pleasure is okay? Sorry.
I'm sorry. The dog for like, are you fine with us factory farming dogs? Let me just clarify that point.
For what purpose?
Meat
consumption. They eat it all over the place. They eat it in Asian countries. And those dogs are beaten and tortured because they think it makes the meat taste better.
Also,
you think
Norway.
That's right? You think that's right, Master?
Well, if you could articulate a reason, I mean, they don't really have much meat on them, for one.
They're particularly thick dogs. They're particularly thick dogs.
I mean, if you had a particularly thick dog with enough meat on it.
You're telling me you only use animals that have thick, adequate flesh on them? You know, people eat all sorts of animals, right? Like, they don't always eat the animals that have been factory farmed. So why would the thickness of how much meat they have on them be the factor that makes it okay or not to exploit them? Go ahead, X-Animal.
If you're just saying that if a cow, like, just take a step back and think about it. Are you really saying that it suddenly becomes wrong to factory farm cows if they were skinnier?
Well, it would be unproductive.
Those are two different questions. But would it be wrong, like morally?
Well, moral justification. I think one of the criteria for moral justification relies on necessity. Sorry.
Okay. Are you under the impression that you need to eat meat?
No, I know I don't necessarily need to eat meat. No.
Okay. Well, then why would need ever be relevant here?
Because sorry,
It wouldn't.
sorry.
I'm saying, why would need ever be relevant here if you already agree that you don't need to eat meat?
Well, because I want to.
Okay, well then, I don't know why we keep bringing up need if it's just because you want to. Like, you don't... Yeah, but like... Then,
But I'm wondering, can I ask him a question, D? Can I ask Mr. D a question? Why are you here? Just out of curiosity, why did you come on a vegan platform if you're not against cruelty to animals or you would like eating meat? Why did you decide to come on here?
I didn't intend for it to get derailed to this point. I usually just like to present the argument that I began, which is that there has been a strong argument posited for at least some.
Okay, again, this is one individual. You're appealing to authority. You're appealing to one person that has done studies. I pointed to the debunking a myth, plant consciousness, where they look over multiple studies and they found plants are not conscious. They don't have a brain, central nervous system, ganglia. They don't have the organs that are necessary. And I understand that, yes, we were talking about thresholds, right? We're saying that our thresholds at plants, efferents is at certain insects. But the point is that it's about, their capacity to suffer and their capacity to experience the world. Why, if you don't need to invade that, why cause that individual a suffering in a sense by stealing their freedom or using them without consent? They are a someone. So why are you subjecting someone to something you yourself wouldn't tolerate being put through?
That's a pretty simple question.
For the taste pleasure.
But, okay, humans are literally called long pig. Humans are literally called long pig, which means that we taste like pig. So just because humans taste like bacon, does that now give moral credence to unaliving humans so we can make baby back human ribs? Make baby bacon.
I'm also not clear on why you don't eat dogs, or why you think it's wrong to eat dogs then. Because originally I was under the impression that you're thinking of some type of need-based argument, but like now you've already said that you don't need to do either, so...
Well, because cows and pigs and other animals have more meat on them.
Okay. So like...
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They have the capacity to suffer. They have the capacity to experience the world and weigh out their preferences. Right? Just like humans that are maybe not all cognitively there. People that are getting elderly. People who have had their head bumped. Children that will never get to adulthood. Right? Doesn't matter about their intelligence, their ability to give back. They are a sentient being. They are experiencing the world and making preferences.
What do you mean when you say more meat on them? More meat, like an individual cow has more meat than an individual dog?
Yeah, and I don't think he knows what they shove in cows to make them bigger. I don't think he realizes what he's eating.
Do you just mean an individual cow has more meat on it than an individual dog?
Yeah, so it wouldn't make sense to eat dogs when there's better alternatives like cows and...
Okay, so like pound for pound on an individual. Cows just have more meat. Okay, so and if that's the case, then do you think it's wrong to eat fish?
Of course, yes. It's wrong, according to that logic.
That would logically follow. If your threshold is like how heavy they are, and you're saying that the reason why it's not okay to eat dogs and it is okay to eat cows is because cows have more meat on them. It is the case that fish have less meat on them than dogs, so it should follow that you're not okay with eating fish.
Well, no, because now you're delving into a whole other category here. So, I mean,
Fish are
Fish.
animals. They have nociceptors. The same nerve endings that we have that tell us when we're experiencing excruciating pain. They have the same nerve endings. There's the zebrafish study, excuse me, where they looked at the fish that they gave pain medicine to. They went into the tank that relieved their pain, not the tank with the recreational toys. I'm sorry, ex-animal, you're so loud. I'm so sorry. I feel like I have to yell over you. I'm very sorry. I appreciate your input though. But the point is, fish feel pain. We have absolute evidence that they suffer. We also know that some fish use tools, they have friends, they have networks. That means they think ahead. They look forward to things.
So why do you feel that it's is there some sort of universal law that says
I don't think there's a universal law. I think it's within you. I think you agree that other individuals, despite their ability to understand the world, should respect your autonomy. You expect people to respect your capacity, or excuse me, I should say, you want people to respect your preference of your autonomy being left to you and not invaded. You want your ability to experience suffering to be respected so that people that are near you don't cause you unnecessary suffering. They should see you and say, oh, I can't do that dangerous thing right there. There's someone that might suffer, right? You want that respected by other individuals. And you shouldn't have to have a long conversation about moral values. You should just be respected for your capacity to experience life and suffer, right?
I would like to be, however, it's really not that
Exactly.
simple.
That's what I'm talking about, is just your preferences. Just your preferences. I'm telling you, the animal's preferences are to not be used. They want to keep living just as much as you do. So
Right,
if you
but-
want, stop. If you want your capacity to suffer, your capacity to experience the world to be respected in the ways I just described, you have a moral obligation to do that to others. To all those beings that have the similar capacity. They're having a subjective experience and the capacity to suffer. Do you understand what I'm saying? You want that respect? You need to give that respect to all those beings. Otherwise, like, why should I respect your preferences?
Well, we're the same species, and it's
Right.
not.
We can weigh out what's right and wrong. I should know that it's wrong to violate your autonomy. I understand what's right and wrong. That gives me a moral responsibility to not take advantage of those that maybe aren't as aware of it and are now vulnerable to me.
I don't know. I think there's an important psychological element that you're leaving out of this conversation.
Yes, you are. You're leaving out the fact that you're an oppressor. You're literally trying to demean a sentient being so that you, as the oppressor who is benefiting from their oppression, feels better. Right? I don't know if you know this, when slavery was still a thing, they sold food in the same manner that they sell animal products, in that they said these slaves were treated well. These slaves were given humane treatment. Was it moral? Hell no. They shouldn't have been enslaved. And that's what we're arguing for. We shouldn't be using sentient beings. There's an individual suffering directly.
Every
Right,
It doesn't
day,
matter if
all
they were
day
given
long.
welfare. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they're given high welfare. They were robbed of their freedoms. They were robbed of their autonomy. And animals were bred to be dependent on us. So we've literally handicapped someone and said, because you're handicapped, I can exploit you.
I mean, okay.
You can add. Go ahead and add what you're going to say.
Do you think it's wrong to kill chickens? I'm pretty sure the average dog weighs more than a chicken, or it has more meat on it than a chicken.
Yeah.
Or at least some dogs do.
Yeah, but would it taste as good though?
Okay, let's assume that it did.
Well, if it did, then that raises some questions. But it again comes back to the element of reciprocity.
Oh, actually, hold on. Okay, when I ask you a question, can you say yes or no? It's fine for you to elaborate on that. Can you answer the question? Just so, I'm confident that you're not going to get to the end of your paragraph and then not answer it.
Okay.
So, if you have a particularly heavy dog, or just one that weighs more than a chicken, do you think it's fine to slaughter that dog and eat it for meat?
Generally speaking, no.
Why?
Applying all the things that I did before, like the dog is disabled, can't reciprocate the stuff that you wanted to.
Then potentially you could make an argument that it's valid to eat it, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're not talking about necessity. I just want to be clear. You go to a grocery store, you have choices. Maybe I interrupted the wrong spot, but I'm kind of just done with this conversation. It's gone on way too long. It doesn't matter how much flesh is on someone's body. Yeah, like if someone's sentient, like imagine it, are we going to start harvesting bodybuilders that maybe aren't all cognitively there? I mean, that's, if anything, that would be the perfect flesh to consume because it's human flesh to our human flesh, right? It would give us everything we need. And I just think that that's obviously a place that we would all agree is wrong. We wouldn't unalive humans, mainly because we recognize that other humans are sentient. Doesn't matter how intelligent or what they contribute, right? So anyway, I'm going to keep for now, Master. If you want to come back, I'm going to be back on Thursday. Do you have a question you want to add?
Oh, do I have a question?
I'll let you say one last thing, but I am going to move on just because we've kind of gone in circles. I made my point about sentience and that the animals, the capacity to suffer and experience life is the line that we're talking about. I understand you think plants are sentient, but you're really making an argument for veganism, because if I wanted to care about plant welfare, I wouldn't demand more plants to be forced into existence to suffer being harvested and then fed to animals for the animal to also suffer to have its head removed so that I may have a tenth of the energy that we put into this whole damn system. So anyway, you have a great day. I'll see you on the other side. I just don't care to go in circles anymore. No, I let that go on because I had, you guys up, and I wanted everybody to have a fair chance at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway. Yeah, and I also, Efren, thank you for being up here. I don't want you to think I'm like upset with you. I was just upset that he constantly was just okay with exploiting sentient beings as long as they benefit him, and that's just gross to listen to for so long. So, I can't stand that. Yeah. And X-Animal, I'm really sorry for muting you a couple times. It just, for some reason, it just took over all the sound, at least on my end, and so I couldn't hear what was being said, and I felt terrible muting you, so I'm very sorry.
No, all good, all good. I actually had some issues with my headphones. They are quite loud.
Oh.
Yeah.
My headphones, they always struggle with the lives for some reason, so I totally understand that. Like, I get delays sometimes, and it sucks.
No, all good.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have something you wanted to add, Lori?
Oh, no, that's it. I was just asking if you were ending, and you'll be back when?
I'm going to be back on Thursday, and I'm thinking about trying the same time. So 3 p.m. PDT. Daylight savings time is throwing me off. But yeah, 3 p.m. PDT. Exactly. There's PST, I guess, is when we're in the other. I don't know. I hate daylight savings time. It makes things complicated.
It doesn't serve for anything. It
Nothing.
really doesn't. No, it doesn't serve for any purpose.
No. Anyway. All right. So yeah, I'll see you guys all on Thursday, and yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for coming up. Have a great day.